Cool. Well, we should probably talk about X-Men '97, right? Because like,
Just
Hey,
edit out the first part.
yeah. I'll leave that as like an extended version. Maybe I'll start a Patreon or something. Thank you so much for coming on the show. So incredibly gracious with your time. I remember seeing you at the X-Men fandom panel at WonderCon, which was an amazing experience as a fan, just sitting and listening to everybody talk. And I heard your response to this question there. So did Michelle. But for the viewers out there, what was your earliest memory, like first exposure to X-Men that you can think of?
sure. But first of all, like, thank you guys for having me over. I'm really excited, and I was so happy to that I know you guys personally already, and so this makes it so much more special. Yeah. So my first introduction was the original animated series from the '90s. I don't have any other recollection of anything X-Men other than the cartoon that I used to watch at my mom's kitchen in Brazil, in my hometown. And I said this at the panel. I don't know if in Brazil it aired every Saturday. I don't have that recollection. It was like, religiously waiting on Saturdays. I remember it being, very often. So maybe I also didn't start watching it in '92. I don't know, right? Like I was quite young, but yeah, I would watch many different cartoons, but definitely, that was one of my favorite ones. And um, it might have been the very first superhero introduction I've ever had. And I still have the Wolverine action figure. I might have others, I'm not sure, but I want to go back. I'm so excited now to go back home at the end of the year for the holidays and pull them out and see what I have, and then yeah. But yeah, that was it. That was, the series, in the '90s, and I was super into it. As a kid, I would watch so many different um, cartoons and, a lot of, action stuff. But that one absolutely, and Wolverine definitely was always my favorite. So, when I met Cal, at the premiere, I was like, really, like, it was something. It was really something.
Yeah, I'm
Had you
gonna.
not met him before?
No, no, I had
That was
not
your
met
first
any.
time?
My first time meeting everybody, literally. I was maybe, I'll say this right away, but for a lot of people, I guess, didn't know this, but I recorded, and most of us, I think, recorded everything by ourselves. We weren't in the booth together, not even virtually, so I didn't meet anybody. So everything for me was a bit of a shock, and I remember walking with my friends to the premiere and seeing the humongous line of fans waiting to get into the El Capitan, and I'm like, oh my God, this is wild, this is wild, and then meeting everybody for the first time. Yeah.
Wow. Did you guys even for that show? Did you at any point even time do like table reads, like virtually or anything like that, or was it
No
just?
Zoom meetings? Nothing?
I did not. I did not. I'm not sure about some of the other cast members. I did hear that because also I got in like way later apparently, like from hearing, AJ and I think Holly too. I mean, especially the OG cast. Like I think they started like at the beginning of 2021. I didn't audition. I auditioned twice, and I didn't audition my second time until like spring of 2022, and I started recording in the summer. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So yeah, and I know some of them did record together in person, but I think the majority did not. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
very interesting. And I thought people have been telling me now, like, because this was like my first, major introduction to animation. I had done prior to booking X-Men '97. I did a small part in Spidey and His Amazing Friends as a surfer dude. Um, and that it was very short and very fast, and I did it by myself as well. And because, in the voice world, I come from commercials and dubbing, and looping too. I've done, looping a lot before. And so, I mean, obviously looping is the experience that you really, are in the room with a bunch of people, except, a few times since I moved to LA, Um, and I think it was maybe 2021. It was like still like pandemic, and I did it by myself. Everybody's like separated, and it's a very weird, awkward thing for looping. But I just thought that was the standard. Everybody just they go on their own by themselves, and they just do the lines, different ways, and that's how it goes. But it might be that it happened more that way these days, but certainly it's not how it used to be, right? So yeah.
Wow. What's the audition process for that? Like I know several of the cast members were saying at the panel that it was like very lock and key, like they'd kind of like try to be stealthy with it. Does your agent just contact you and be like, "Hey, why don't you audition for this?" And from there the ball just kind of begins to roll?
Yeah, pretty much, via email, just get the email, you get the auditions, and you just tape them and you send them out. And like AJ said, into the ether, and you just usually don't, or at least for me, I usually don't hear back. And you go into the next, and that's how it goes. But differently from them, and you see, I was very surprised as well, and intrigued, because I didn't know any of those stories either. And just hearing AJ, I mean, most of them, even Lenore, saying like they had to audition and all that stuff, but they recognized right away that it was X-Men. um, and because a lot of them were doing voice match, or like Lenore said, they were giving her sides from like the animated series that she recorded. so so they knew. I had no clue. And I don't even remember, like, again, because I was not really into you know this world heavily. I don't even remember that I clocked, oh, X-Men 97 has been into talks, and it's about to come out. So it never crossed my mind. But also, I've been saying this, which is the truth. I didn't really know Roberto that much, and I didn't know him definitely by that name. So the size did say Roberto. I can't remember. Probably said Roberto da Costa. I just, didn't even put two and two together. And I haven't gone back to check the because I have it, I can see what the sides were, but I haven't done that yet. Maybe I will do, so I could speak with more specificity. But I don't think it was sides from the show, and I'm not sure. I don't think it said Jubilee. So anyway, I had no idea. I just recorded it thinking it was an animation show. I did it in my neutral, more American standard, English accent and American accent, and then I did it with a thicker Brazilian accent because they've asked for it, and so, but that was about it.
Do they give
Yeah.
you
Oh,
when they do that, do they give you any kind of like character treatment? Like this is the type of character that is in terms
Yeah.
of personality, age, those sort of
Yes.
things?
Yes. It did. Yeah, they did give me that, which is just a description of Roberto. Absolutely. But I don't think it gave out the name of the parents. It was. I do remember this line. It said like a raver kid. I was like, oh, great. I've been into raves lately. Like, I didn't used to. Like, since the pandemic, I've become a big fan of like EDM, and some DJs and stuff. It's like, oh, this is right up my alley. Let's go. It's that raver dude, comes from, I think father is a millionaire or something like that, and arrogant, and when so those are the the words that I remember. It's like, oh, this is fun.
Hmm.
And in fact, I think like the first time, and I might be wrong, but I do think that the first time I auditioned for it, which was like towards the end of 2021, I think I was in Brazil. I could be wrong, but I believe I was actually in Brazil for the holidays already, and I did it over there, which is interesting. Yeah.
so since this might not apply anymore, but I was going to ask, how is your relationship with the voice actress that does Jubilee, Holly? Like, are you guys besties? I mean, because you had to do a lot of scenes together. So, I don't know if you guys got to vibe at all, or if you just met her at the premiere. Like, how is your friendship now?
Yeah, no, Holly is lovely and amazing, and she's so like fun to be around, such great energy. And I remember, like, I met her for the first time at the premiere of, I think, close to when we were about to do the photo. And I was, yeah, that one, I was like, okay, this is Jubilee, and I was like, Gave her a big hug, and I was so excited, and she was excited. We got our photo, and then at the after party, when I met you, when I met you and everybody else, like we just, yeah, we chatted for a bit, and it was just really cool. And then since, by these things that we've been doing together and whatnot, we just, yeah, we've been building a really cool relationship, and she put
Yeah.
together this amazing viewing last week for our episode. I mean, her episode, but
Oh,
my biggest episode too. So that was very it was so amazing. And now we're like um getting more even into the talks after our experience with WonderCon, to like do something together. And I did, as you know, because Justin, by the way, guys, like Michelle's husband, Justin, won my giveaway shirt,
oh
Sunspot shirt
yeah.
at WonderCon that
I have
I
it. I
wanted.
have it right here.
Oh my God, there it is. And I mean, I was so happy, and I did a live. I did this like Google spin thing to make it obviously very random. And but when I met Michelle and Justin at the after party of the premiere, he told me, it's like, I'm gonna cosplay Roberto. I'm gonna be the first one at WonderCon. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I got my jacket. It's coming, online and all this stuff. So I was so happy that the universe again granted me is such a beautiful, joyful experience of like look, anybody would be great, but he would, to me, was so special that he won because he was the first one to actually want to, portray Roberto in that way. So I forgot my train of thought completely. I don't know what I was talking about.
It's okay. It's okay. Justin
I
was
was talking
so
about,
excited. He was so excited to cosplay Roberto. Like
I
he
know
he
he's
went
so
hard looking for
enthusiastic.
pieces. Hmm.
So enthusiastic, and it was so cool. I loved it. We got our photo, and then I did this. I signed it for him there. It was really cool. But then we were talking about Holly, and like, so when we met, and then like doing so because I did that giveaway, I told her we should do a giveaway for Jubilee and Roberto, because my friend sent me, there's a shirt. There's been like a shirt for the
Yeah.
two of them. There's a couple different designs. They're
Mhm.
really cool, and so we've been talking about doing that as well. So yeah, I mean, we're growing our friendship, and I can only imagine that it will only just grow and grow more, and we'll nurture it from now on.
You'll evolve into what like Lenore and AJ kind of have going on.
We'll see how this is where this is gonna go.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
based on what you said earlier, I find
Mm,
it like absolutely insane that you two have not like recorded in person, because
yeah.
I mean, this is a testament to your guys' voice acting, because the on-screen chemistry, especially in that most recent the Motendo episode, is insane. I
Yeah.
mean, it is so good. And then I can't like wrap my brain around the fact that you guys were like in separate rooms, not even having met, recording these things. And yet when it comes together, it is incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Finch. Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a testament to the entire team, and Meredith Lane, who you guys also met there at the panel, was amazing, and it is our booth recording session director, and she's just amazing, and is so sweet to work with. So yeah, I mean, her directions, and the exploration of the emotions and the lines, and obviously I've always trusted that they know the bigger picture, right? So every time I come, and sometimes I come like after 3 months, I don't remember anything. And sometimes I'm redoing stuff, sometimes I'm doing new things. And so I'm just trusting that they have the big picture, and so they're directing me, right? I mean, sometimes I try to like, hey, can I do it this way? I'll do it this way. Absolutely. But then they wanted a specific thing, probably because they know how maybe Holly has already recorded first. Who knows? I'm sure it's like sometimes maybe I went first and she did it, and it was a back and forth that way. It was cool. I think that there was one time or a couple times that her recording was already there, so when I was redoing it I could hear her, and then that was nice, but not often, not often.
When you're recording, is there somebody like Meredith or another person that will read the lines like of Jubilee or another character that you're interacting with. That way you can get a feel for the scene and what's going on.
Yeah, Meredith does that, and she asked me at least if I wanted to do that, and yeah, it helps. But then also after a little bit, because um sometimes we would read the scene in its entirety, right? So she would read the dialogue, I would read my dialogue, and then boom, 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 we get a feel um for the pacing and for the reactions and whatnot. But then you go line by line. So then it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm giving like different, and it's what I've been saying, like when people ask me about the difference of on camera and voice acting and which one is harder and requires more preparation. I mean, in terms of preparation, I mean, absolutely my experience has been obviously on camera, because here I don't have to memorize the line and I can just give different reads over and over again with different emotions and different whatever intensity. And so I actually found it exciting. I'm like, hey, I wish we could do that on camera at times. I wish I would have said it this way. So you can play more, you have more leeway. And I also been saying this is there's less pressure. At least that's how I felt. My experience, just way less pressure, because you just do it again, just do it again, just do it again. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. The interesting thing that I wanted to know is that so you're in this position where you audition for it, right? And then eventually you get notified you got the role and this is what it is. Like at that point in time going forward, did you have any sort of like level of I guess I should say preparation for the role before you began like the major recordings? Like did you get into any kind of research or anything along those lines?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. That 100%, especially because I knew very little. But even if it was somebody that I knew, I would go into the resources mostly online. YouTube is a great resource for anything. So I watched everything under the sun that I could find. But I was also, right in that first email, I was given the link to the Marvel database, which that was definitely my main source, to read the history, to understand as much as I could about him, and what's been coming from the source, right? And so, yeah, absolutely. I always do that with everything I can, especially if it's out there in that way, right? So, um, yeah, I think that I mean that obviously helps, just to know all the different reiterations that he's been a part of, that's been created and all that. I just did not have much time in the beginning to get to the actual comics. I was sent some afterwards, which was great. It was really nice to then read. Now I own a few. Be collecting mine. I'm never gonna get to Michelle's level, but I am collecting mine.
Oh.
I'm waiting to get the very first Sunspot appearance in 1982. Yeah, which I wanted to get it at WonderCon, um, but they didn't have it. It was hard to find, and I went to one of the pop-up comic books there, and because they were so nice, they were like, "Oh, we don't have it, but go try this guy." They all know
Yeah.
each other, right? And then they're
Hmm.
like, "Go try this guy." So then I go, and he's like, "Oh, I just sold the one yesterday." I was like, "Oh, bummer." And I was learning this whole, like, look, I am so ignorant about this. I'm getting a little bit more schooled, obviously, but the whole first print and second print and all these,
Newsstand, yeah. Like,
all
do
of
you
all
want a
of these.
slabbed copy, raw copy? Like,
There you go. All the
there's
slangs are
reprints
all.
too sometimes. Like, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot very new to me, and so um, some of them were nice and patient. Others not so much, but that's okay. But this one, he was very lovely, and he's like, "Yeah, I sold this one yesterday," and he was explaining to me the whole like grading thing, ranking thing, right? And
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Oh, but I have a couple here, but it's not for sale." Because I'm going to send them to, I think they're 9.8. So I'm going to send them to get
Oh, to
ranked
get
so I can,
slabbed.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I can sell them for a much higher price. So he showed them to me. So I took a photo of the, yeah, issue number 4. Um, yeah, and it was crazy. It was awesome. He's like, these are going to go probably for 800 to 1,000. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for that yet.
Oh my gosh.
But
Well,
so
you
I
get
was,
your own raw copy. Get your own raw copy, a nice one, get it cleaned and pressed, and then send it in. Or you should sign it too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
hey, they say sometimes that that loses its value
Uh,
for those rare ones. But then my friend was there with me, because I wanted to buy like a $20 copy of that first appearance. It doesn't matter if it's like the
yeah.
20th print, but I couldn't find it there. And he just went online and he bought it for me. So I haven't gotten it yet. But
Oh.
yeah, Eddie is my bro. He's the best, and he was there at the premiere with me, and he went to WonderCon, and so yeah, he got it for me. And I haven't seen him yet, but once I do, yeah, he's gonna give it to me. So I'm really excited.
That's a good bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did you I'm sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
I was gonna say I've seen a few issues coming out that they're printing the X-Men 97 figures on, like their figure covers as well. So
Oh,
maybe if Roberto gets a figure in the third wave,
yeah,
which we're
yeah,
hoping for,
yes.
it's
That's
gotta be the third wave,
it's
right?
gotta be. It's gotta be. There's only
Yeah.
Roberto and Jubilee
I know.
missing.
We need Roberto, Jubilee. Who else did we get? We didn't get Morph. We
No.
Oh,
didn't
Morph. Yes,
Yeah.
Morph.
we
Yes.
could we could get a
We
Dazzler,
haven't gotten a Sinister yet either,
We
have
could get
we?
a Sinister.
Yeah.
That's like 5 already. I mean,
Wow, you're right.
yeah.
See, I knew you guys would know.
Don't say us guys. If I want to know, I asked Michelle. So she's the
So
sorcerer. Look at that
clearly,
room.
Michelle is the source,
Yeah, if
100%.
you're looking for toys and stuff, hit me up. Like, I'll help you out. I'll help you out too, Finch.
Nice.
If you ever need anything, you let me know. I
Hey, you
got you.
guys already helped me out once with that X-Men 97 issue #1. Yeah, you guys totally snagged one for me at your local comic book store. So I appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? You got it? You got it? First print?
Yeah. And
Wow.
I was worried because it was see the problem I have is I live out in Farmtown, USA, and my closest comic book store is like 45 minutes away. And I knew with working that day there was no way I was going to be able to get there that day. I was worried they were going to be sold out. I threw something up on my Instagram story. Like with it, I swear to God, before I even hit post, JT was like, I got you, bro. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He threw an extra copy up. He's like, oh, Finch wants one of these too. And I was like, okay.
She's the best. These guys are
Yeah,
the best.
which is
These
good
guys
because
are the
they had
best.
them at WonderCon. Several of those booths they had it at WonderCon, and I saw them selling anywhere from like $30 to $80. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so glad you
That's
guys
too
snagged me one
much.
because
How
That's
how
too
much
much
did you guys
money.
how much did you guys pay for it?
what was the cover
Just
price on that?
like I don't know, 4.99,
Yeah.
3.99.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
Do you
really?
want a copy?
Already?
My comic store, I think, still has them. You want one? I go back and get you one.
Yes, yes, please. Yes. Okay,
There's
that's nice.
one.
Thank you.
There's an older issue. It came out, I think, maybe 6 months ago. It has the whole team on it. It has Roberto on it. The one that Finch
Oh,
has does not have Roberto.
what? I didn't know about this.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Dan Wiesenmeyer cover. I think it's for the Hellfire Gala. That one is like $10 because it's a thicker one. It's like 9.99. But that one has the whole team. I just
but does
saw
that,
it.
but can you find that one there too or no?
That one I can try. I can try.
Okay.
But
If you
if
do,
not,
please. Okay.
I'll find some copies for y'all. I'm always out
Okay.
shopping.
You're the
So,
best.
Awesome.
You're the
yeah.
Thank you.
best.
Yes. Thank you so, so much.
And Dave
She is
Wiesemeyer
the
is
best.
great. Like Dave Wiesemeyer is one of those artists who's amazing. But so often with these comic book artists, you rarely know what they look like. And this past September, I don't even remember this, Michelle. I was at Uncanny Experience and I bumped into Michelle. Hadn't seen her in person in a long time. And I'm like, oh my God, Michelle. I'm like, we got to get a picture together. And like somebody's walking by and I hand her my phone. I'm like, can you take a picture of me and
I
Michelle? And
know.
Michelle's like, you just have Dave Wiesemeyer to take a picture of us. And I'm
That
like,
was
oh,
Dave.
that's who that
Oh
was.
my God. That's
Yeah.
He did it. He's a
funny.
great guy.
It,
He was
of
really polite
course.
about it, you know. And um,
Yeah.
but
The
yeah,
ones
that
I've met so far, they're always so amazing, you know. They're such a like all of you. Everybody's just so loving and passionate about these, characters in this world. It's pretty amazing.
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah.
fandom loves you. Like, when I told the Hellfire Gala walkers that you were gonna come by, like everybody died. They were like, "Oh my
Oh.
gosh." They're like, "He's so cute. He's so nice." They're like, "Is he single?"
Hey, that's my favorite line. Don't forget single.
I was like, "I don't know." I don't know. I'm like, I just invited him to come watch.
Oh no, I said from the from when I met you guys, I was like, I'll be there 100%. And I'm gonna
Oh,
I have it set. I'm gonna post this week the photo I finally got, I guess, a few days ago. I mean, like the one that I think Chris or so,
oh,
one of right of everybody at the end there when
yeah.
I so I'm definitely gonna post that. That was super cool. No, you guys were amazing. It was so fun, and I mean, it was such a bummer that it rained, right? It really, I wanted to have had the experience where you guys have done it, and it's there. Like when I first, arrived at WonderCon on Friday, so many people, by the
Yeah.
by the trucks, and then you see the outside part, and yeah. But anyway, it was
I
fun
know.
nonetheless.
I know. We were bummed we had to do it indoors, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really like, because I've already like actually written most of the copy, and I was saying the caption for the post, and I was like, so it was really the last one, right?
Well, we were gonna make it the last one, but just the
Oh,
way things went down, we're like, "Oh, it's really, like, anticlimactic," and then there's, like, some talks behind the scenes, and I pitched an idea to Jordan. I hope she's okay with me saying this, but she probably
oh,
is, it's fine.
damn. Okay, okay.
But we were thinking maybe the last one will be at LA Comic Con because that's the first place we did it. So I
Gotcha.
was like, let's bring all the alumni back to like bring your best looks and everybody can
Amazing.
walk. Yeah, we might
Oh,
have a stage.
amazing.
We might have a stage, I'm hoping.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna change it slightly to not give it away for those who don't listen to the episode here, but like I'm excited about that, and I've heard about that con a little bit now, and obviously WonderCon was my very first one, so this will obviously be my first time there. So I hope that I can join and experience
You
that, and then
should.
and see
Yeah,
that.
come to LA Comic
I know,
Con. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
cool.
And
What
people will
when
love
it
you.
when is that happening?
I believe it is the first weekend in October.
Oh, okay, okay, it's
It's like the
further
weekend
out.
right after Uncanny Experience.
And like the weekend right before New York
Ooh.
City Comic Con. Like it's like right
Yes,
in,
I
that's
think
brutal.
so.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. I really would
yeah.
like to go to the New York one. I mean, I lived in New York for, over 7 years, and I never went. But I heard, how big that one is too, and how
It's
wild
good.
and cool. So yeah, I hope I get to go to New York. So wait, so
What
that one
about
is in between Uncanny and New York? Is that what it is?
yeah, so it
Yeah.
goes Uncanny
Wow.
Experience in September, then LA Comic Con, and then New York Comic Con.
Yeah,
So,
there
Wow.
yeah.
might be a week in between LA or no. Yeah,
I
they
don't
are.
know.
I think they're literally like 3 weekends in a row. Like bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam, bam.
Wow.
Like wow.
Look, if Roberto is, it's a spot, if they're popular and I'm getting to do the circuit, I'll join the circuit just like a
Yeah.
tennis player. Like I'll do these cons like tennis tournaments week after week. Boom,
Yes.
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you, if you have like a booking person, you just tell them like, "Hey, I want to try to do these events and like guest there, or be part of a panel." There's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
San
No,
Diego too. Like that's like the
oh,
mecca.
but that's the Mecca. Yeah, no, I learned at
Yeah.
WonderCon. I learned a lot about it all because some friends that I know who were attending, were telling me the whole thing and how it all works. And so, I mean,
You're
I
getting the
don't know.
lowdown.
Yeah, I actually got scared just by like how wild that thing is. I'm like, damn. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's like, yeah. But we'll see. Hopefully they do have a panel. They have something I would love to go and experience. But if not, I guess it'll be next year. Once I apply, I think I can apply now and get the thing for the next 3 years or something like that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The whole vibe of the X-Men fandom panel was insane. I mean, there was like, I don't know if you felt it up there on stage. There was like legit energy in that room. Like it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh. Yeah, I've never felt something like that. Like never, not even on a film set. And I just I shot this episode for a new CBS show called Elsbeth, where I play a professional tennis player. And so I've been saying, this has been like a circle moment for me, such a dream come true. Because my very first dream growing up was be a professional tennis player. And so they shot this. It's almost like as if I was entering the U.S. Open center court in an arena it looks like the Madison Square Garden. So they have like 150 extras, and stuff like that. The whole thing, right? I was like, oh my God, it's just so cool. But like, no, it was nothing like that energy. I don't know how many people were in that room, but it's just like it was packed and everybody dressed up and like when they called
Yeah.
their names, oh my God, it was like wild. It was so cool. How many people do you guys think were in that room?
Oh,
Couple hundred.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe like
right.
2 or 300 people,
Two
and
Yeah.
to
that was
three
a
hundred,
smaller
right?
room
Yeah.
too. They should have
Hmm.
given you guys a bigger one.
Yeah.
There were bigger rooms. Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah,
even
we
know
went
that.
to a panel on Sunday, like way down, like in the other building, and the panel we went to, there weren't that many people there, but the room they had was huge. And
Huge.
yeah, Justin and I were like, they should have given the X-Men fandom panel this room because they had like two screens and
Oh
like
wow.
two areas of chairs. So if you didn't want the full room, there was like a curtain. It could have fit
And
everybody.
Yeah.
and there was a lot of people that did get in, I heard, right? Is that
Yeah,
true?
they didn't get
Yeah,
in.
right. But
Yeah.
maybe because like the room was so close to the main lobby, right? So because it closed at 7 and everybody, I guess it was just easier. They wanted, I don't know.
Hmm.
I
But
don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
I understand security wise, they were like freaked out about fire hazards.
Oh,
Like I went in to record, like I actually live streamed the whole
oh,
thing on Instagram, and then later posted it on
oh,
YouTube. And I got in there, I think like a good like 50 minutes before it started. And I had a great spot set up, tripod, everything. It was a great spot. And of course, everybody's filling in. Like 5 minutes before it starts, security guard comes over, was like, "Yeah, no, you can't be there." And I'm looking around. I'm like, "There's nowhere to sit. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, can I just leave the tripod here?" He's like, "No, it's a fire hazard." So I
oh
ended
my
up sitting
gosh.
like midway down, holding my phone up like this for an hour, for a solid hour through that whole thing. And every
oh
time I
my
laugh, you can tell
gosh.
because like the video like moves or somebody says something, you can hear me like going, "Oh my God," you know. So, but I
Oh,
bet considering the fact, because you remember how that was, like when the panel let out, and it was bedlam, a good bedlam, like just outside the room because all you voice actors were there. There were all these fans who were like, "Oh my God, I need a selfie." I was one of them.
I
But
know.
I get this gut feeling like next year they're going to be like, "Yeah, we got to put these people in a bigger room." Yeah, we'll get a Chandler about that. Like, dude, you got to book a bigger room, man.
There you
Well,
go.
I don't think they knew. I think their original panel lineup got changed because they were asked to do the voice actors for their panels. So that
Mm,
could have been an issue, maybe.
Oh, I
okay.
see.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
All the intricates of the
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
all this like behind the scenes stuff that like goes into planning these. It's a lot. It's a labor of love for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
And the part that
100%. I could tell.
yeah, and the thing that I thought was, yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. The part that I thought was funny is that like afterwards, like out in like the main lobby area and everything was going nuts. And if you guys remember, like security was freaking out, like you guys gotta go, you gotta move.
Oh my,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
They were
Chandler,
so mean.
yeah, and Chandler looked at one of the security guards and said, "I told you this was gonna happen. I told you this was gonna happen." And y'all didn't listen to me. So it was kind of like he tried to warn him, like, these fans are going to go crazy. And
Yeah.
there's going to be
And
these
Eh,
voice actors here, and everybody's going to be, yeah, just conglomerating in this area.
I know.
yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember that. And I was like, damn, I mean, we just walked out, give a little break. Like nothing is happening. Like just like anyway,
It
yeah, it
was
was wild.
fandemonium.
There
It
you
was.
Fandemonium.
go. Yeah, the
It
mutant
really.
madness had taken over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, like it was just good vibes because everyone was just kind of chilling in their own little space, you know? So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get some stuff signed since I'm here.
Of course, of course. I mean, I was having a blast, just like feeling that love and care and attention,
Yeah.
and I really was really excited to, meet these people who really been there and that I have never met, right? And But yeah, it was so wild because it's like, I want to connect, and then there's like five other people waiting, and then like Chandler's for like, oh, we gotta go, or like Chris, like we gotta go, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, what do I
Yeah,
do?
because
It's
you guys
so
had stuff afterwards too, right?
we
So like
did,
it's
yeah.
just it's hard. It's hard. That's why we need some, set appearance times. So people can
Mm,
come by and say hi and
yes,
Not mob you
yes,
have
outside
fun.
of a panel like that.
yes. Well, I will keep you guys posted once I know if my next con experience or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Personally, like I sort of feel this way, like someone who, as a child, and I know so many fans say this, and it's cliche, but it's true. So many of us who were like fans as children of X-Men the animated series, um, to number one have X-Men 97 even be a thing in and of itself is like miracle number one. Miracle number two, and I'm sure Michelle feels this way, like just feeling blessed enough to be in a position to talk to you folks and be able to like personally say,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that person. Yeah, I know that person. There's like the 12-year-old boy inside of me that's just like like I can't even imagine. I've got like photos, the screenshots of DM conversations from Instagram that will like forever be memories of mine. Like, I can't believe he DM'd me and said hi. Like, what is happening right now? So yeah, hats off to you, definitely you. But so many people in the cast for just being so kind and so friendly and so personable to like fans who are clearly just like rabid for this stuff.
No, thank you, Finch. Yeah, no, I am just very, very grateful, and I've said this a couple times. I don't take this for granted, and people's times and excitement. I've been, in other ways on that other side too, and so I know how special it is, and I have heard that, multiple times now, which really warms my heart. So it's just like, to me is it's not I don't even think for me is this small gesture, but it's just like I know that it just has even like a bigger meaning for some people, and I that to me is like is so deep, and it means so much to me, so yeah.
I know. You were so kind too, even at the fan event. I remember Chandler was like, "Oh, Michelle, do you want to meet the voice actor for Sunspot?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, Roberto."
You guys, I mean, I swear, I was like, you guys are so awesome. You guys were so cool. I was like, yeah, I mean, just again, that I had never experienced something like that, and then just seeing like Michelle's an incredible costume, and I didn't even like obviously know that like how professional and how invested she is, and so they were telling me afterwards, and they were like downplaying it all, and then like after. I go to the Instagram, and then I get to know them better. I'm like, whoa,
Oh,
this is a different level. And
oh,
it,
we're
it,
just
it
regular
was,
people. We're just regular,
We're
regular
better.
fans.
We're better
Yeah.
people. I
yeah, you guys
think.
are, yeah, you guys are amazing, passionate, incredible people is how I really worded. And it's been, I mean, from that day, and when I was talking to Paul, and I was like, hey, like you guys is so just it feels like a family. Everybody knows each other. I was so what's going on? You guys have been hanging out for 5 years, 10 years. Michelle's like, yeah, I met them like 10 years ago. I'm like, what the hell? This is wild.
We all met on the internet or on Instagram during the pandemic. That's what happened. We all met during the pandemic on the gram.
See, there are positive things. Everything has two sides. Everything has two
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, we go back. I don't know, what was it, maybe like 2.5 years ago, and I had met someone on Instagram who was a cosplayer I was doing a podcast with, and we got to be real life friends. And I was telling this person, Captain Britt, if you're out there, I love you. That I'm a
Oh,
really huge X-Men fan, and she was like, "Oh my God, if you're an X-Men fan, you got to meet my friend Michelle." And so she sent me Michelle's
oh,
Instagram. I
that's
started
how it
following her.
started.
I DM'd her. I'm like, hey, Britt says you're a big X-Men fan. I'm a big X-Men fan. Let's record a podcast together. And that's where that started. So it's like these things just
But
just keep
see,
going.
It's just incredible. I find that really fascinating, and I love it. I really love it because again, it just all comes. It's the connection of love and passion you guys have for, this world, these characters, and then all of you are just so nice and incredible people, human beings, and that just makes it even more special. Yeah, really fun to hang with, and
Yeah, and I think I will forever quote Dylan on this because Dylan had said, what was it, a couple weeks ago? Because it's like, he's on my podcast, I'm over there, we're all just like intermixing all the time whenever this stuff happens. And Dylan had said in a group chat with us, he's like, the thing I love about this is like going over to different friends' houses and playing with their X-Men toys. And
Oh,
that's like, if that doesn't perfectly sum it up, like every time I get to talk to Michelle and now you, or we do any of our live streams or anything, that's what it feels like. We're all just sitting around geeking out over how much we love the X-Men.
that's really well said, and I love that. I'm gonna hit Dylan up afterwards and tell him it was just his birthday, right? It was his
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we celebrated a bunch of birthdays. That's always like it's always Dylan's, Jason's, Nerd Alert cosplay, and
Uh-huh.
Cammy Slice. It's always their birthdays,
Oh
WonderCon weekend.
wow.
And then we
Oh
find out that it's
wow.
other people's birthdays too. Justin's
So
birthday's coming up. Like I mean, I love me some Aries, so you know.
you're right, it's the Aries, you're
I
right.
do. I love Aries.
Damn. And now the solar eclipse happened today in
Oh my
Aries, right? That's pretty
I
wild.
know.
Yeah.
It is. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, yeah, and a side note to that, I have to say, and I don't know if you've ever been approached with anything like this, but the thing that I find the most fascinating, and it tickles me to death, and hopefully it tickles you to death, is that I was 12 years old when X-Men the animated series came out. My daughter is currently 12 years old. And when the first episode of
Whoa.
X-Men 97 came out, she watched it and she freaked out. Went into her room, started binge watching the old series. She is like single-handedly obsessed. And she's in bed, I hope, because it's past her bedtime. But she knew who I was doing a podcast with tonight. And I know she's going to go to school tomorrow and be like, guess what my dad did last night? So,
No way. No way. What
so
what what's your what's your daughter's name?
her name is Colin. And yeah, she is a
Colin.
certified X
Amazing.
freak. So
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean I do love like those coincidences or not, or like I'm really into numbers, so I believe a lot in that, or I just like it. And so any details like that, oh I love it. I geek out so much. So
mhm.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's some great synergy for sure.
Yeah, so did she watch the whole thing, like the 5 seasons of the original?
She's making her way through it. She's
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I
Where's she
mean,
at right now?
I want to
Do
say
you
she's
know?
the beginning of season 4.
Okay.
That's
So,
wild, Finch.
yeah,
Wow.
because
And
she's
she, but you've been a lover for the longest time, so she was never really into like
no, no. As a matter of
no.
fact, oh gosh, Michelle, do you remember those those mystery pack things that Hot Topic that had like the little dangly X-Men
Yeah, the
characters?
little keychain
Yeah,
guys.
and
I have some
I bought
somewhere.
like, yeah, I've got them, and I bought a whole bunch of them just trying to get one Wolverine, and I finally did. But one of them was Rogue, and because I had two Rogues, I gave it to my daughter. She put it on her backpack. Other than knowing the character's name, doesn't know anything about her. And now she's like, "Oh my God!" And Rogue's on my backpack. What?
That's amazing. That I hadn't heard a story like this just yet. I really love this, Finch. Thanks for sharing. That's incredible. At 12. See, that's why it's so incredible that the show is like, reaching so many different age ranges and different generations. It's just incredible, incredible. Even like I've had some people that I don't know personally from the internet, from different countries that have been following me for a little bit, and like have shown me photos of their kids watching it, and I find little like, yeah, beautiful things like that. And they're 5, they're 4, they're 3, and they there's just like, it's so wild. I love it. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. X-Men is really a show for all ages, for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
well, and it's been interesting. The and I think all of us who are X-Men fans are definitely also like fans of other fandoms. Obviously, Avengers, Spider-Man, like, all those things. Um, but the X-Men always has that thing that sets it apart, in that all of these characters are bonded by the nature of being mutants and the nature of trying to figure this out in this world, and trying to figure out, that they need to stick together and get through this thing. And I think to a lot of people, especially people who are in any way, shape, or form different, it resonates. It resonates a lot, whether it's somebody's neurodivergent, whether it's LGBTQ.
Hmm.
I've recently found out that X-Men is really huge in the autism community, because people who are autistic
Oh,
often feel
wow.
like they're an outsider and they get treated different, even as a child they don't understand that they're autistic or what it is. For some reason they can't relate to other people, and so they're treated. And so it's real easy, like, yeah, you can sit there and read Spider-Man, you can sit there and read Iron Man, but there's something about reading an X-Men comic or watching like the animated series, or even now X-Men 97, where there's a whole nother level of relatability there, because it's like I can identify with what those characters are going through, about worrying about telling your parents, worried about your parents finding out that you're different, in that feeling of disappointment that no child wants to experience. And I think it's something that's extremely powerful. And I think that's why so many of us are so passionate about the X-Men as well.
Very well said. It's so true. And I'm experiencing very deeply now, at this time around, because I honestly, like, for me, again, I think, I was quite younger when I started watching it, and so for me, it was more like the action. I just liked the energy, just like action. I was saying, like, there was one point in my before my teens that, like, every photo that I took, I was in like a weird pose. I loved ninjas and stuff, so I would never like be regular, so, like, standing in a photo. My mom would go insane because I was so energetic, right? I loved everything that's action. I would play all day long, and so for me, that was what I don't remember getting a lot of that, growing up with the original, because then also I've been saying, like, as I um with tennis, being a big part of my life in my teen years, I quickly veered off, and I became very, like, obsessed with tennis and in that world. And so everything kind of like uh went away, a little bit. So it's very fascinating to see now. Obviously, now we, all of us as adults, and understanding all this and how deep this is. And obviously, we know that kids are not going to get all these, like, deep references. But I think also that's what happened with the original, and everybody still enjoyed it, right? But some that a little bit like teens and whatnot, they can relate, they can see that. And so, like you're saying, is just so powerful, very powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The speaking to that point, is there anything about Roberto that you feel like you especially relate to? Like some measure where you're like, this isn't just a character I'm playing, like this is something that I also see in myself, and that comes out in any way for you?
Yeah, I was very shocked and fascinated when I was researching and reading how, like, there's a lot of similarities, in slight different details, but to start with, his upbringing. I mean, obviously, like, my dad or my parents are not like millionaires or anything like that, but like, starting from the culture, right, where my mom is from Argentina, my father was Peruvian, I was born in Brazil, so there's all this mixture already, in my upbringing. And though, like, I did not feel, very fortunately enough, I have amazing parents and loving family. I was very blessed, very fortunate. So I never felt, judged, or like I didn't belong in my family in any way, but obviously, I've gone through my moments, and even, like, certain bullying, not like the typical that a lot of kids have unfortunately had to go through. Even though a good friend of mine in New York is like, "Oh, you were always with the cool kids, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, yes," but it was interesting too, because I also was very I was good friends with all the nerds, and I would be like the sporty guy that, but at the same time, like I was so like uh, A grades, and I was very like I would study a lot, and I would hang out with a lot of the nerds as well, so it's like this mixture. But I never felt isolated or like judged growing up in that way, but I did have my moments, and so those two things I think were very, very, important and big in terms of like my correlation, even the simple fact of the languages, which is something I've been saying too when people ask me about like challenges when I started recording. Like the accent for me was a really big thing. And it really, that's why I was very nervous to watch at the premiere because I hadn't seen anything. And what happened was because in the audition, I did like, one version, which is mostly how I talk, and another one, which is a much thicker accent. When I started recording, I wanted the representation of Brazil. So I'm like, I want him to feel Brazilian. So I want to put on this stronger accent. Of course, the lines in Portuguese were already written in the script, which was great. But as it started evolving, and when studying more and talking to the team because of the sounds, the Brazilian accent it can be very strong, and so they will always ask me to tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. And so like, I'm just gonna speak how I speak, and then I was like, well, this makes sense because his mother is American, fully American. His father is Brazilian, and so I've known growing up a few kids, and especially now as I lived in New York and now LA, they're like these like huge hubs that people are from all over the place. Uh, so many people they grow up with parents from different countries, and they have both languages, and they have no accent. They have perfect accent in both languages or more, so especially if you're from Europe even. So it's like I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I don't have to, like, that's totally justifiable, right? So thankfully all the Brazilian Portuguese lines really have helped that show that that origin, um, and so I thought that was very special, and again, just I could relate to it, and I think it was very similar in that way.
That's really cool. Wow.
Yeah, and I was very glad that they were doing that and asking me to, like, that's why I say like they obviously they had the bigger picture and this bigger vision, and they're an incredible team, and they kept asking me to do that, and then they brought me back most likely a few times to then record things, maybe because of that. I don't know, obviously things have also changed and dialogue and whatnot, but you know I think it felt to me at least like halfway through that I'm like, okay, this is like I found it. I found what it is, and now I can do this. And that's why I was nervous. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want this to be like kind of all over the place. I obviously trusted that they know, but it was a little bit of my hesitation in the beginning.
I don't know how much of like the comic book lore that you've read about Roberto, but are there any like storylines or like events or characters from the comics that Roberto interacts with that you would like to maybe see sometime in the future on X-Men 97?
I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna see it. But I would love. I don't know if it would make sense at all. But the one that I've been referring to that I like the most is the issue that I like the most from the New Mutants is all this like bit that he has with Deathbird.
Oh,
Uh,
oh wow.
yeah, that's definitely my favorite, and it's
Oh.
so funny. It's so funny. The bit the part that like he like they're in trouble, and he's trying to like save his friends and whatnot, and then he got knocked out and whatever, and I think and then like I think it's this other I don't know, I don't remember the character, but also had like a bird head, and so then that bird comes on and like chops the bird, and he's narrating this, so he's narrating like chops off the the head of the bird, and then she looks at me and she kisses me, and then it's like, and I'm excited, and then the kiss ends, and then she slaps me on the face, and then she kisses me again.
Oh my God, I know exactly what issue you're talking about.
I felt so funny. And then he's like, yeah, and it felt like, and then he quotes the movie, like he's like Julia Roberts, and he quotes three movies, and I was like, this is too funny. Anyway, so that
Oh
that's
my
like my favorite
gosh.
part, but I don't know if that would ever happen.
We got to
Oh,
start a
I don't.
petition to make it happen. Like
Oh my
I am all about
gosh.
it.
If they could just do like little shorts, maybe, like just
Oh
shorts from the
yeah.
comics with y'all, that would be a really good one. Like
Kevin
that.
Feige,
Right?
Marvel Studios, listen, we need like a Tales of the Jedi version, Tales of the X-Men with these
Yes.
shorts
Oh,
so we can get all these sides. That'd be amazing.
Oh my
that'd be
gosh.
amazing.
Here for that.
Yeah,
I need
Yeah.
to see
yes,
this.
yes, yes. I
Well,
mean, there's so many different, like, storylines, right? And so many, like, the evolution of everything. And Roberto is like, there's it's very
A lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot, and
it's a
it's
lot.
very interesting. So it's also hard to, for me, it was like, just to know, like, how much of you know the linear um journey that we see in the comics is actually kept here, how much liberty they're having in changing things and adapting things, right? So that's, yeah, that to me is always fascinating to know.
Yeah.
it's always interesting because most characters in the X-Men universe have like decades of canon. And even the team as a whole, I mean, we're like what, 80 years now? Over
Yeah.
81 years X-Men have been around. And so it's always interesting to me in the original X-Men, the animated series, and now with X-Men 97, like what storylines they decide to go with. And and I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form a bad way, because I think it's phenomenal the way they do it, how they can literally take a really long storyline in the comics and condense it to a one episode of X-Men 97. And yet it comes off great. Like it's fantastic. Like it's
Yeah,
encapsulated. There it is. We move on to the like that, like we saw there, what, in episode 3 with the whole Goblin Queen thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
that was like,
Inferno.
yeah,
That was like, oh my gosh.
that was insane, and yet there
Yeah.
it was. Like, you want to talk about that story arc in the comics was like, and yet they're like,
right.
there it is. You got your Madeline Pryor. There you are.
Yeah, it's so much expertise and attention to detail, and incredible, you know, in a genius way, really, like, like I said, encapsulating it all and picking and choosing, where it would make sense, and then all this circling moments to the original and to the comics, and paying homage. I mean, it's just so much, so much.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah, the fans love it. Like, we're here for all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, we freak out every Wednesday. It's like Wet X Day. Like, let's go. And we got Michelle's part of our X-Men 97 gang that gets on Instagram Live every Saturday night. And the conversation occasionally gets inappropriate. I got to rein y'all back in because, like, if I heard Gambit's a snack one more time, I was just,
But these are facts. These are
yeah.
facts. We're just stating facts.
This
Just
is true.
stating facts. I
I
love
can't
it.
I can't argue with it. But yeah, hey, once again, want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was an absolute pleasure, honor having you here. Look forward to talking to you again. Look forward to definitely meeting you again. Once again, Michelle, awesome as always. Thank you so much for being here. But yeah, we're going to get out of here and want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you again another time.
Yes, thank you guys. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Finch. Thank you, Michelle. This was lovely. This is like such a, like, feel like you guys were here, and I do hope that we get to meet soon, and again in person. Yeah.
Absolutely. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.